This is the presentation for the fourth Sunday of Lent, which is also Laetare Sunday, and the focus in the Gospel is on the forgiving Father, or as many people call it, the prodigal son. So here's the booklet for that, and we'll just begin straight away. And I'll present it as though I'm presenting it to the children. You know, today we're going to listen to one of the parables that Jesus told, which is very beautiful. And he told it to explain the extent of God's love and forgiveness. And it's called the parable of the forgiving Father. Or sometimes people know it as the parable of the prodigal son. I'm going to light our candle. There we go. So this is taken from St. Luke's Gospel. We have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and it's Luke's Gospel here. The third Gospel. This is how it goes. Now, all the tax collectors and sinners were coming near to listen to him, and the Pharisees and the scribes were grumbling, saying, "This fellow welcomes sinners and eats with them." And then Jesus told them this parable. There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger of them said to his father, "Father, give me my share of the property that will belong to me." So he divided his property between them. A few days later, the younger son gathered all he had and travelled to a distant country, and there he squandered his property in wild living. When he'd spent everything, a severe famine took place throughout that country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him into the fields to feed the pigs. Actually, I'm just going to turn this around here a little bit. He would have gladly filled himself with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. But when he came to himself, he said, "How many of my father's hired hands have bread enough and to spare, but here I am dying of hunger." I'll go to my father and say to him, "Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. treat me like one of your hired hands." So he went off and went to his father. While he was still far off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion, and he ran and put his arms around him and kissed him. Then the son said to him, "Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son." But his father said to his slave, "Quickly, bring out a robe, the best one, and put it on him, and put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet." "And get the fatted calf and kill it, and let us eat and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." And they began to celebrate. I wonder. So this is where you select the ones as you feel is appropriate. I wonder why the son might have wanted to leave home. And I wonder if the people he met were true friends. I wonder why his father looked out for him and was so happy to see him return. What's Jesus trying to tell us about God? I wonder what Jesus is trying to tell us about ourselves. How might we sometimes be like the son who went away? And how this parable can help us in our own lives. So after that, if there's a chance, children can explore the materials, and they do really love exploring this one because there's a lot to move and a lot to say and do using this diorama, or taking something from a student workbook or one of the workbooks that are supplied with the material to complete some work. For example, there is a booklet here. It's geared very much towards reconciliation, but it's included actually in the kit. And it's surrounded by purple, which means that it is actually a kind of a student, it is a student workbook. So there are pages in there that students can complete. Or they might engage in a simple Forgiving Father craft activity. There's plenty out there on the internet. And mindful colouring in, if that will hold their attention. It's very nice to do mindful colouring in with something like watercolour paints, because the effects are really engaging and instant, and that can really draw the children to use that mindful colouring in idea. And then of course they can always spend some time in the prayer space. A lot of these ideas will apply more particularly in the Sunday school concept, when there is a bit more time, and when it's the children's liturgy, maybe it's something that they can take home with them to work with and ponder in that way.